I know what I know. I know that I'm coming. I don't have this CPG, consumer packaged goods experience, or this business experience. I was, and I still am, but even more then, so passionate about the mission of the business. People started opening doors to me.
You're watching Chic Innovator. Stay tuned for fascinating topics, fascinating people that have style and are innovative. You're watching Chic Innovator. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's free.
Hola, I am Regina, founder of Nemi Snacks.
So, Regina, I am so glad that you're with us.
Thank you.
I mean, I love you. I think
Thank you.
You're awesome. But I really love your snacks.
Thank you.
They are so delicious. I think the first time I tasted them, I was at an event. And then just got hooked on them for many reasons. And so we'll go into that a little bit. But I want people to get to know you more. You're pretty amazing.
Thank you. You are too.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. You're originally from Mexico, right?
I'm from Mexico City.
Mexico City.
Yes.
So now I hear Mexico City. I always used to say DF, but now they're not saying DF,
No,
right? How
somehow.
are they saying it?
I'm still saying DF because I grew up with a DF for,
Yeah. And my family's from there too, so I always say DF. But now what are they saying?
I mean, it's been DF for most of my life, but the
Yes.
government changed its name from DF to Ciudad de Mexico.
Ciudad de Mexico.
The acronym is CDMX.
CDMX.
So a lot of people now say Ciudad de Mexico.
Okay.
But I still
CDMX.
say DF because that changed. I was already living here when that was changed, so to me it's still DF.
Right?
But you're now going to see it as CDMX instead of DF.
Yeah, I was in Miami actually, and I was at a big event, and a lot of influencers flew in, and they were like, "No, you can't say it anymore." Like now, what they're saying is this. I'm like, I don't know. It's going to be tough to change. Right?
But I do think if you say DF to like a Gen Z, maybe they don't know what that means.
Oh, okay.
So it might be like CDMX. Because now maybe I don't know if they would all understand because everybody now is using CDMX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in English, CDMX is. So, yeah. That X is everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. Well. Anyway, I love Mexico. And
yes.
What brought you here to the U.S.?
Law school.
Okay.
Law school. I thought I wanted to come for law school, and there were some schools that I was looking at, and I really wanted to go to the one that I went to here in Chicago. So I came here.
So where did you go?
Northwestern.
Okay.
And
I'm a DePaul law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to Northwestern because it was one of the few law schools that allowed foreign attorneys to do their human rights clinic. I didn't have to be a JD student, so doing the full law career. So I came here and I thought, if I find a job that keeps me somehow connected with Mexico, I'll stay. And I did. I graduated and I did immigration law for some years and then back to human rights. But I also met my now husband. We had a class together in law school. So there were two reasons for I wanted to stay. But I came for law school.
That's a good reason, though. You know, you met your husband there.
Yeah, first the job.
Nice. Yes.
Though.
Yes.
Then the husband.
That's interesting because a lot of people, you know, when you start law school, as you know, if you're married, they tell you about 50 to 7, more like 75% of you may not be married at the end of law school.
Yes.
Because it is so tough. That was kind of me. I have to tell you. Yeah. No, it's because it's a very, rigorous thing that you go through. So that I'm happy you found your husband and that it all worked out and a good job and everything else. And I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you.
In Chicago.
Yes, me too.
Yes.
I didn't know. I visited before. But when I came here, I didn't know how big the Latina community was.
We're huge.
We're huge. I knew, but I wasn't aware until I started kind of moving around and meeting people.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my, one of the first experiences that I had that eventually led to me creating Nemi Snacks. Because when I moved here, I wanted Mexican food and I wanted all these products. We cook at home a lot and I thought, I'm just going to go to the store and I'm going to find all these Mexican products. And I went there and I went into the ethnic aisle. And I remember just feeling unrepresented after seeing all these brands that were showcasing Mexico and our cultura, rooted in stereotypes. So a lot of sombreros, all these derogatory branding. And a lot of these brands are well-established brands in the US, a lot of them using artificial ingredients. I then went to the produce section and I saw nopales, the prickly pear paddle that you find in Mexico in every mercado. But it had spikes. And I thought, who's going to buy this intimidating looking vegetable if they don't know?
Unless you know.
Unless you know.
Yeah.
But even if you know, in Mexico, you go to el mercado or el super and you buy them clean.
Yeah.
You don't go home and then clean the nopales from the spike. So,
but I have to tell you something.
Yeah.
So my daughter, the first hard food that she ate were nopales.
No.
Yes, nopales.
That's a first. I've never heard that before.
Yes. So we, always have tried to eat very healthy, and she eats very healthy now, is a very healthy person. But that was like the first hard food because we've always eaten nopales. Nopales is one of the healthiest thing you can eat. In the world, right?
Yes.
But you're right, it is intimidating for people because here, for the most part, because I don't like them in the jars.
No, very different experience.
Very different. And so we would make them fresh. My mom, better than me, much better than I do. And my daughter, that was like her first hard food. And she loved nopales. Her eyes still light up now to this day. So,
but it's interesting you mentioned that because nopales, I mean, we grew up eating it, no? And it has a little bit of a bitter taste and it's slimy. But for a baby, it's a perfect food.
It's perfect.
Because it's hard, but it's chewy, but it's sturdy.
Yeah. And the vitamins.
Right. I mean, the nutritional value is amazing. They're packed with antioxidants, fiber. They're one of the most sustainable plants because they thrive in hot weather. They don't need much water to survive.
Great for your skin.
It's great. I mean,
great
in Mexico,
for everything.
Right. We use it for so many things, no? We use the cochinilla, which is a parasite that it creates in the makeup industry, in the beauty industry, for scratches to cure, in mi casa. If I had a scrape, it wasn't, let's go and get the neosporin. Let's go and get the nopales or the aloe vera because that's going to be what's going to heal it. We eat it in different ways. In Mexico, it's also used for, for medicinal purposes because a lot of people that want to regulate their blood sugar, they eat nopales. I don't necessarily use those claims for my product, but it is a nutrient-dense and fiber-packed vegetable.
It's just a wonderful thing. And I do want to give you another... And I know, so I was just in Miami with one of a model that I've known forever. She just launched her own line. She comes in for Runway Latinx, Alma Delgado, a big influencer. And aloe vera, she tells me all she uses, all she does is at night, or she takes aloe vera, she washes her face, and she just takes the little
scoop
and it puts
gel.
It on her face, and she's got the most beautiful skin.
No,
it is. People don't know. So you knew.
I knew.
You knew.
Right. So, but people didn't, as you said. People don't know.
Yes.
So I thought, in Mexico, we're used to eating them. We're used to seeing them. It has a cultural significance to our country because it's even in our flag.
In a huge way.
A huge way. It represents resilience. You find it in backyards, on the road, everywhere. So I thought I need to be able to get rid of the sliminess, right? Like, how can I introduce this ingredient to you? But I can't say, look at this slimy, spiky.
It's good for you.
It's
right. Not gonna go.
It's not gonna go. It's not gonna fly. So I think with this experience of me feeling unrepresented in the industry and seeing nopales, which has a ton of potential, but seeing the way that it was portrayed, thinking nobody's gonna buy this is just gonna go to waste, but it is an amazing ingredient. How can I create a brand where I could elevate our cultura through a high quality product with sombrero free branding? So
at the time though, you're an attorney.
Yes.
So you're an attorney, so you're working full time in that.
Yes.
But this other innovation kind of sparks, right?
Yes.
And this need to do something with it. How long did that take you to kind of figure out that this is a direction you wanted to go? Trials and tribulations had to be huge.
It took some time because, the first feeling I think when we want to start something that is totally different from what we've done, that is totally new, there's fear, no? And there's fear of, I don't know anything about the industry. I have no idea how to start a food business. I know about food because I cook and I love food.
Me too.
But that from...
Huge foodie.
Right. But creating a business from that, it felt overwhelming. And at the time, I kept feeling unrepresented every time I went back to the store. And, I thought, I don't have a business background. I don't have a consumer packaged goods background. I have no idea about food other than I love it and I love putting it in my body. But other than that, I just didn't know exactly how the system worked. So it took me more time that I think if I started a venture now that it would take me, because I had to deal with all these thoughts and limitations around fear. So it took me about 5 years. I didn't start anything. Like, I just kept on my legal career. I was doing immigration law at the time, and I loved doing immigration law. I loved it. And I loved that most of the people that I worked with were Latinos and Latinas. And it was a recurrent theme that a lot of the clients that I worked with were former farmers that had to leave their home countries as a resort of predatory practices. So it was also this story that I kept listening of, in the industry, the farmer, sadly, is sometimes the one that gets the least. But it's the one that is creating and giving you the product. I mean, it's nature, right? But it is thanks to the intermediary who's the founder. The farmer.
We have a need for them. Yeah, great need.
So I just started connecting some dots here and there. It took my time. And I think most of it was, on one hand, I loved what I did professionally. And I wasn't in a situation, because, you probably got this too. A lot of people say, oh, you're an attorney. Of course you had to do something different. Oh, you're probably miserable. I wasn't.
Yeah, no.
That wasn't my experience. I loved what I did.
Although I do something completely different.
You do. Yes. But maybe it wasn't necessarily because you felt miserable at what you were doing as an attorney. It's because we have a lot of interests and curiosity, and we know that we can do different things with our lives.
Yeah, and I do want to say, because we have a lot of young people that listen to what we say, and I think that having that as a foundation, being an attorney in the legal background, is one of the best things you could have.
I think so too.
Right, because it teaches you logic, organization, and looking at things on both sides, and allows you to really look at the world as your oyster. I think so. I think it's a wonderful
yes, and the skill of, I love to talk too. I'm an extrovert with an introvert side, but I love people. I love meeting people.
Me too. That's why we're here.
I don't believe that. But yes, eventually I just thought, you know what? I'm just gonna create something. I didn't know the product. I knew the mission. I knew that I wanted to create something where I could really showcase the culture that I know and that I am so proud of, and the amazing colors and food and ingredients that we have, and really push back against this stereotype and misconception that if something is ethnic, it doesn't mean it's low quality or it's cheap or it's unhealthy, which sadly there was a lot of misconception around Mexican food and Mexican snack. Not even Mexican food, but just goes beyond our culture to other cultures, sadly. But really pushing against that stereotype.
And you wanted something delicious because you like to eat.
Well,
so
yes.
It had to be really
It had to be
good.
delicious, and I wanted it to be a better for you kind of product, because when you have so amazing ingredients and seasonings and all the chiles and spices that we use, I didn't need Red 40 in my stuff. I didn't need these artificial things in the product, because it wasn't necessary. So,
and thank goodness you didn't.
No, sí.
No,
Sí,
gracias.
Sí. No.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you say that. I'll tell you why. So I went to Mexico and I started meeting farmers first. I started going to these fairs with farmers, and if we want a snack, it had to have the crunch. It needs to be really good flavor, and then the better for you. So started working around that. I had a background just personally because I love food, and I had endometriosis for some years. So I was like in my own space of anti-inflammatory diet and things. So I had to kind of figure out it on my own, because sadly with endometriosis, the average time that it takes to diagnose, it's about 7 to 9 years in women.
Oh, wow.
And that led me to this amazing space of finding foods that felt good with my body, that I liked, but a lot of things that I tried didn't taste that good. And we don't sacrifice nutrition for taste.
No.
So I went to Mexico.
That is a very important thing that I think people need to understand, right? We want to be healthy, but we also want to be happy with what we're eating.
Well, and enjoy it.
Yes,
I mean, that's in the end, eso es la vida. Enjoy what we're eating, enjoy what we're doing. So I go to Mexico. I find a person that can manufacture my snack. The snack that I have is called churritos in Mexico. And churritos are long, crunchy sticks. And I thought, if I call it...
I know churritos.
You know churritos.
Yes, of course.
But then I was in this issue where if I call it churritos, churrito can mean a marijuana joint, or the churro, like the churro we know,
right.
the sugar.
Which here a lot of people know.
Exacto.
Yeah.
So that name, it didn't seem like it would resonate. So I called it Nemi Snacks because Nemi means to live in Nahuatl, the language of the Aztecs. And I started then finding seasonings.
To live.
To live,
that. Okay.
yeah.
That's
Looking for
That's
seasonings.
powerful.
It is,
That's
yeah.
very powerful.
It is. To live, what does it mean? It's actually, it's a very simple. So the simpler that our food is, how we live, like our basic needs are already covered with that already exists. We just forget about it sometimes. But it was kind of a reminder of that, of simple ingredients, directly with a farmer as much as I could. The seasonings, when I found, I talked to several companies because I wanted them to create a seasoning according to my guidelines, right? So it was like no artificial ingredients, no natural flavors, no added colors other than their, color coming from spirulina or beets or anything like that. And I remember...
Did you have a hard time with
I
that?
did.
I would think.
Because of two reasons. One was I was coming in with, I'm starting the business. So I didn't represent money for them, right? Like maybe they do custom-made seasonings for big companies, not too small companies. And the second one was they were not used to creating those kinds of seasonings. And one of them told me, wait, but your customer, their tongue is not going to get red. Their fingers are not going to be red. And I told him, that's exactly what I am looking for. And he was like, nadie te lo va a comprar. Nobody's going to buy this. And I said, don't worry about that. I am the one who's going to be doing that. There is a market for this. Can you do this? And also, I need to own the formulas, no? So I ended up talking to like 7 or 8 different companies.
I'm thinking of that now. I mean, how wonderful that your fingers are not getting red in your mouth. I mean...
Well, that's the artificial coloring for the most part.
But, a lot of us don't want that.
No.
What is wrong?
Right.
I have to ask you, though. So who are these people that you're meeting with? You're meeting with people in Mexico?
This is all in Mexico.
And these are business owners of these large...
These are business owners of seasonings companies. I was meeting with farmers, some of them that had big farms, small farms. I was meeting with people that could... At the beginning, I thought, I'm going to start exactly where I am with what I have. So I'm not going to worry about having this maybe beautiful branding. I want to create something that I like, that I feel connected to. And I want to get something that I can get out there and start testing.
How did you prepare yourself mentally,
Yes.
so that you'd come in and they take you seriously?
So there were two things. And I think, again, going back to what we were talking about, fear. We always feel it. Like, we always feel fear every time that I have a pitch competition. Maybe what I'm wearing is dark colors because my armpits start sweating. So we just learn how to work with that and how to identify what are our triggers or not. So I would just call them.
But you do think about that ahead of time going in.
I think about that.
Yeah, and you plan for it.
Yes.
Because I think that's important. Because I think a lot of times people, see individuals such as yourself and, self-assured, you go in, you're starting a new business, you just handle it. But there's a thought that goes into this could happen, this could happen, this could happen, and you're preparing for that.
Yes,
so.
And there's always that emotion, but the question that I always ask is, what do I need to make myself feel more comfortable? There's some of the things that I can control, some that I know that I can't, and I don't really care about controlling them because they're just not in my business.
And who knows what can happen,
Exacto,
right? Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
But there were some things that, I know what I know. I know that I'm coming, I don't have this CPG, consumer packaged goods experience, or this business experience. I was, and I still am, but even more then, so passionate about the mission of the business that I do think that was the reason why I started people started opening doors to me. Because they were like, this physically petite girl coming in with these big dreams, and I kind of had an idea, but I also asked for a lot of help too, of like, hey, I have this idea, how can I present it in a way that is a little bit more persuasive? And I had a very basic understanding of what I was doing, but I met with some people. There's some that I started conversations, but I also knew that it wasn't the right time to work with them. Like, for example, my packaging. I knew that I still had a lot to go with branding based on consumer data. So I had a plastic bag with a front and back sticker, nutritional label, from a local lab, I was able to go through FDA regulations because of my legal background, and I really appreciated it, and through like customs and all these things. So,
because that part of it can really delay things.
Oh, yes.
In a huge way.
And it is a huge compliance thing. And I think, even from conversations that I've had with other founders that are in this space, that has been a big limitation for them not to do something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No,
because it's overwhelming. Yes, and it is intimidating, too.
Yes. So it sounds to me that you were at the point in your life that all the things you had done and this idea, it just was at the right point for you to go through it. There was that passion behind it, and you've got the legal background, so that helped in certain areas. So it's everything that you've done to that point, and now you've got this passion that you've got to get this done.
Yes, without leaving my full-time job, because I kept working on my full-time job up until last year, actually. But I thought it's a great side thing to do, because I also was starting small with no funding, bootstrapped. I'm still on bootstrap, but it was a smaller thing that I was just going to test out.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. It started with a test. I got my sister to create the packaging that we had and the branding that we had, and it was done in PowerPoint. And
because that's the thing too. I think people have to understand you have to put a team together, and a lot of times, at least for me, my team has been my family.
Yeah.
Mi familia.
Sí.
No les llamo y
Sí.
need you to pack, need you to help. This, so you got to put your team together. And so your sister helped you with I love that.
My sister helped me with the packaging. My mom's house became the official warehouse of Nemi in Mexico. They were my early taste testers. So I remember even thinking about, okay, I am coming in with this new ingredient, but I need some space of familiarity with the flavors that I'm working on. So going back to our family recipes, so matu, salsa de chipotle, like all these flavors. And, if you find snacks on the streets, todo tiene limón. Everything has lime. Todo tiene limón, lime flavored snacks. More in Mexico.
Yeah.
So just trying to find these flavors where I could balance out the familiarity piece with the consumer of, maybe you've never had nopales before, and maybe, you've seen the stick, but you're not entirely familiar with what I am presenting, but you know the flavor. And that's also what you care about. You care about the flavor, and you care about the texture.
And I have to tell you, so I love eating healthy. I think it's super important. What goes in, I think, reflects out. But I'm a snacker.
Sí.
And I have a really hard time figuring out what to snack on.
Yeah.
Like I eat smaller meals a couple of times a day. I just that's the way my body functions best. And finding healthy snacks that I can really enjoy. So this was perfect.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God. You gave us some for our bags, for our swag bags for Runway Latinx, and I had to hide some because they were taking them and I wanted them. It was so funny because it's a big deal. Like when you're trying to be healthy but snacking, for a lot of people, snacking is eating like ice cream and this and that. And no. It should be healthy food that you're able to find and consume that tastes good and also is good for you.
Right. So the better for you part was also an integral part of the snacking off the business. And it took me some time to find the balance of, okay, I don't want to use artificial coloring for the green hue. Then maybe use spirulina. But spirulina has a fishy flavor and has a fishy smell. So it took us some time to find like the perfect...
It's high in protein.
See, it has protein. The protein content of our snack is not coming from the spirulina because we're only using a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was just my home kitchen became a food lab in a way, and there were flavors and everything had turmeric. My fingers now were yellow because of the turmeric. And
it's so good for you too. Turmeric is amazing for you. Okay, I didn't even realize the turmeric.
Yeah, we use it for color.
Another excuse for me to eat it.
It's part of one of our seasonings too.
Okay.
But it is in the base of all the flavors that we have. But that's pretty much how it started. It started with probably 80% of myself not knowing what I was doing, and now maybe 60. But still figuring out a lot of things.
But your gut told you this was something you had to do.
I felt, when you're doing something or you're having a conversation, and there's this feeling that you have in the pit of your stomach. To me, it feels like a burn, like something is burning and it's active. I had that feeling, every time I talked about the brand, every time I talked about my culture, and I wanted to go along with that and see where that could go. So, there were a lot of no's, still are. But as you get more comfortable with being uncomfortable, and as you get more comfortable with this feeling of fear, then you start realizing that all the things that you didn't do and that were limiting you were self-created in a way.
They usually are.
So I thought, if I can create this space, where I am just moving along and un pasito tras otro, even though I'm feeling fear.
As long as you're moving it
Exacto.
forward.
As long as you just keep moving, and sometimes llorando. Llorando pero caminando. No? That was always kind of my thing of, we're crying pero keep walking, even if you're crying.
Yeah.
Pero síguete moviendo, because that's the only thing that's going to take you to that other space. And I just started going door to door to stores and getting, a group of people that I could test a snack and I could get feedback on flavors. I had 6 or 7 at the beginning, and we ended up only working with 3, which were the ones that got the best feedback. And stores that were willing to put my product that at the time, it didn't look as bad having a plastic bag with a front and back label. CPG has grown tremendously, and now we see branding that is beautifully crafted and amazing colors. But at the time, and this was in 2019, and it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it's changed a lot. Una bolsita feita with a front and back label no se veía tan feita on the shelf. So that's how it started.
And you got your dream going.
And I got it going, and it's been very challenging. And
so now you're there full time.
Yes, I left my full-time job September last year.
Okay. And tell us, what does that look like? What's a typical day for you now?
Oh my God, it changes every single day.
Oh, I'm glad you said
And that's what
To me, there's never a typical day.
That's what I love about it, too.
Yeah, that's what makes life fun, I think.
Yes, and sometimes, I don't know why, but somehow we like this uncertainty, no? And we like how everything is so different every day. And
That does mean you're an entrepreneur.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
It does. I mean, I think that's the difference, because entrepreneurs, they hunt for their food.
Yeah.
And there's that little bit of unknowing, right?
Yes, always.
Everything can just drop.
See.
And then you're going to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And now you have people depending on you now?
See, now I do. We were a small team, so we have the warehouse here where all the product comes in and we do all the fulfillment from there. And there is Sandy, who does all the fulfillment for us. And last year, I brought my brother in as a fractional CFO. So he's also part of the team, and a person now doing social and some of our newsletters and kind of our communications also, and myself. So it's a small team. I think there's still a lot to do with that small team. And it's about that personality too, right? Like you're doing so many different things, and then you start seeing what you enjoy, what you don't, what you're good at, what you're not good at. Like maybe I enjoy doing something, but if it's taking me 5 hours of my time every day, I'm not that good at it. So maybe why don't we find somebody who takes significantly less time and we're more efficient with our resources?
No, and when you're running something, the most valuable thing you have is time.
Tu tiempo.
Yeah.
Sí.
And where you're the most efficient, where you're moving things forward in a bigger way, and there's things that could be done for much less price in a much better way.
Yeah.
With people who are much better at it, then delegate.
Sí.
You got to learn to delegate. Right?
And what you said about the efficiency. Always that question. How do we make more with less, right? And that doesn't mean less quality of a product or cheaper product. I think it's more about the logistics of everything. Of if we are bringing a truck full of snacks, is there any way that we can optimize those maybe medio metro of height that we're not using in the truck? Or really, that didn't come naturally to me at the beginning, but it was until I started doing it, of really seeing there's so much we can do with what we have. No, we don't need necessarily a bigger team right now, or even with money. No, yes, the fastest that you want to grow your business, the more cash you will need. But there's so many things that you can do as a bootstrap company. There's so many grants out there that we're eligible for, that we can apply for. It takes time, claro, y effort también, and there's trabajo involved. But
curious, what groups have you gone to that have kind of helped you out a little bit with that?
Oh, several. A lot of, so one of them is Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, I'm on the board.
Yes, and when I learned about
to hear that.
the organization, I reached out and I started telling people about it because there's so many resources that we can find there. As as Latinas, yes, but even as non-Latinas, for people that just want to be part of it and want to be part of their events and everything that they organize. So I've gotten a lot of help from them through funding, the grants that they offer, through placements that I don't think I would have had an opportunity if it wasn't for them as a mediator or as an intermediary.
Oh, I love hearing that.
With stores.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of getting the certification of minority owned, which I had not done. Okay. And they've been very helpful, and other people offered their help, but they would charge me for that.
Yeah.
And with a chamber, they're, we're here to help you. I think it's, and I'm not saying this, I think I've told you before, and I'm not saying this because you're in the board. It is one of those organizations that they want to lift you up as they rise. And that's what we also are constantly looking for. Other organizations that just started, they created a nonprofit because they saw the need to fund and to help women-owned businesses grow. And it's no surprise that less than 2% of the VC funds are going to Latino and Latina entrepreneurs.
Oh, I know.
So
It's still
the data is there, and I think it's about not only relying on organization, but also us as business owners knowing that we have this opportunity, this privilege and responsibility to also pay it forward. So to also work in this space where hopefully, I think representation and inclusivity is about, hopefully, if there is any other Latina founder or women founder, it takes them less time and less effort to succeed.
Let me ask you, what are the next steps? Like, what do you see as what is coming up on your radar? What do you have in your plans that you want to achieve? Because I know that's a long road, and I'm sure you have big visions. But let's say, like, in the next couple of years, what do you see?
So I've been, for the past 4 years and a half, almost 5, we've been working with a lot of independent stores, alternative channels, a lot of testing. I rebranded in mid-2021 after all the data that I got from consumers. And the packaging that you see right now, that's the result of the rebrand. It's
great
which is
packaging.
Colorful, vibrant, like really elevating. You don't see it, and it doesn't. There's no sombreros, because that's part of what we do, no? Sombrero free branding. But we've been doing a lot of that locally, and now we are expanding. So we're in this process of working with distributors, expanding to other retailers. We're launching at Meijer in February.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. We're working on a bigger bag for retail because if you go to the snack aisle at a grocery store, you pretty much only see big bags. So we're working on the bigger bag. We're working on a new product, on new flavors as well. We do one seasonal per year. And at the beginning, it's just, it's kind of a playground for me for like testing flavors.
If you need taste testers,
I do.
me.
I always do. And I'm glad you say that because I will.
Okay.
Sí te lo voy a mandar.
Okay. Ahí estoy.
But yes, probably also thinking about our next step when it comes to finance and fundraising. I've never fundraised before. But again, with growth comes the need for more cash flow. So looking into what are my possibilities. We don't have any debt. So is it going to be a debt-based kind of funding? Is it going to be a crowdfunding? Is it going to be just opening for investment, for more of an institutional round? So
let's say somebody is watching right now and they're like, wow, I'd love to get involved somehow, funding, supporting you. How do they do that? How do they contact your company? Let them know.
I mean, I respond to every email that I get.
Okay.
So on the back of my packaging, my email is there. It's hola at nemi.native.com. But if they send me a DM, I will see it.
And where would they do that?
That's at Nemi Snacks. So any DMs or communication, I respond. Depending on what it is, I might funnel it to a different space, or maybe Nikki, who does my social, might funnel it to a different space. But if it's something for me, it's going to come to me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, and on your website, right?
And on my website. Right. There's a contact us
So
tab.
what is your website?
My website is www.neminative.com.
Yeah, because you might have somebody out there that's, got some big bucks. Maybe they want to. I'm telling you, the snacks are so good. It's just delicious. And apart from that, they're healthy. And, again, bringing a little bit of Mexico here to the U.S., which is wonderful.
It is such an honor for me to do. Yeah. Every time I just think about it, I talk about it. I am a proud Latina, and I am so grateful from where I come from. And I always say, just having the business and being able to share that small part of my culture, it's such a privilege and an honor for me.
No, and it's a privilege and an honor for us because we get to eat it. I'm so happy.
También.
No, qué bueno, gracias. Thanks for making that decision.
Thank you.
And I know that wasn't an easy decision. That now you're at 100%. But
yes.
The best part of that, I think, is there's no going back.
There's
now you
no
make
going
it,
back.
You're gonna make it succeed, and that's kind of the fun part of it, I think, as well.
And you know what was the reason why it took me so long to leave my full-time job? Even though I loved what I did and I liked the team that I worked with and where I was working at, it was a constant conversation with my husband, because there's also a financial implication to that. But more than that, it was that I identified with being an attorney for so many years too. And I was letting that go. Mm-hmm. And I loved the work that I did. And
no, you have transformed. It's a major transformation, which a lot of people don't do in a lifetime.
Yeah.
They kind of stay on the same track.
Yeah.
And that takes a lot of courage.
It takes courage.
Yeah.
It takes courage. And, I come from an amazing family that always believed in me. And they always tell me, including my husband, you can be anything you want to be except a basketball player because I'm 5'1". But anything else you want to be, you can be. So, but sometimes we don't
I always think I could be anything I want to be. Now there may be one thing.
There's only one thing we can't be. There's only one thing we can't be. And that's the only thing.
Yeah.
But
funny.
Even though having somebody telling you that and growing up in a space with a lot of contention, there were a lot of times that I didn't believe that. So it takes practice to be confident, right? Like you want to practice what's going to make you feel more confident. Well, practice that. Is me going into this meeting with this huge seasonings company that only service Barcel and PepsiCo.
No, I'm telling you, that's why I asked you the question, because that's huge.
Yeah.
The magnitude of that. You're going in, you're new at this, you haven't done this before, you don't really know those people, and you're going in, it takes to do it, right?
But I also have, how do you say complejo in English? Complejo. Yeah. I don't know if it's a
insecurity, like a insecurity.
Well, I don't know if in this case it's an insecurity. Because even though physically I might be like a Chihuahua, I feel like a Great Dane.
I love it.
So that helps me.
Yeah.
Because I'm coming in and I'm not necessarily looking at myself the way they were looking at myself. Mm-hmm. So that's always helped.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Okay. So you're married.
Sí.
There's a lot of women also watching this.
Me casé con un gringo.
Se casó con un gringo. Okay. Tell me 3 things about him that he was the reason why. Give me those
3. Amazing. We were older when we met. Okay. So 3 things. One was he's a person that is very comfortable being in touch with his emotions and with his vulnerability. Okay. So that just
creates space for you.
Creates space, exactly.
Yes,
for me and for both of us.
Yes.
He's somebody who's also independent, right? So at home, it's about him, it's about me, and the relationship. So it's this triangle that we know, we care about these 3 things, mm-hmm. but there are 3 things that are independent from one another, too. Mm-hmm. And
so they can still function together or separate, right? Which is really cool.
And he's one of the smartest people that I know. And somehow, because I'm an extrovert, he's an introvert, but he does a really good job metabolizing a lot of the feelings and experiences that I have as a founder that I sometimes have a hard time with, because he doesn't...
He's an attorney? He's still practicing?
He's still practicing.
Okay.
He's an attorney, but there's a lot of things that, of course, he doesn't understand because mm-hmm. he's not in the industry. Mm-hmm. That I just go and there vomit all these things mm-hmm. or all these issues. Mm-hmm. And, there's some that are pretty significant, right? Mm-hmm. If there's a delay with my trucks at the border and I'm launching at a store 2 weeks from now and I don't launch the day of, they can just They can just tell me that, sorry, we need the shelves to be full. Yeah. If you cannot deliver, We're going to have to find another brand.
Because you're in a very competitive space.
It's a very competitive space. Yes.
Yeah.
He represents in my whole crazy and moving world a very peaceful space.
I was going to say, because that's what they say, that when you're looking for that person, you have to find peace with that person.
Yeah. And I think peace is underrated in a relationship. I think we should, at least from my experience, put more and focus more on that than another thing.
No, because we want the romance and the sexiness. Guapo, you guys feel
but you can still have that.
You can have that, but I think a lot of people put such a priority on that they undervalue that. The peacefulness, like you could just be together and not even be doing anything, right?
Right.
Such a wonderful thing. So I love it.
Thank you.
So give us a message. Like if you were to give our audience a message that you want people to know, that you want to share with people, what would that be?
I think it's one of the questions that I get asked most of the time is, if you want to start a business or if you want to change a circumstance where you are, how do you do it? And you do it where you are. You do it with fear. You do it with exactly what you have that moment. And I think it's that first step that you take, that once you take it, you realize that it wasn't that bad. And that's going to give you the confidence. Again, you practice confidence. It's going to give you the confidence to then take the other one and take the other one, and you're going to figure it out. So start exactly where you are with fear. It's not going to go away. We just learn how to dance with it.
I love that. And you and I are starting a basketball team.
Claro.
We need 3 more.
It's going to be Las Chaparritas. Las Chaparritas basketball team.
I love it. Thank you so much. I know we're going to have fun.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm on the tasting team.
You are officially you are. You are a Nemi brand ambassador now for the tasting team.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much.
Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching Chic Innovator. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's free.